For Chavez Jr., the fight is an opportunity to silence doubters and reclaim his place in the boxing world. Unlike Paul's previous opponents, many of whom came from MMA or were well past their prime, Chavez Jr. is a lifelong boxer with a deep understanding of the sport. He has taken offense to comparisons with Paul's past foes, emphasizing that he is not a retired UFC star or an exhibition fighter. Chavez Jr. sees this as a chance to prove that true boxing experience still matters, and he is confident that Paul has not been tested against someone with his level of skill and pedigree. During a heated face-off, Chavez Jr. challenged Paul's record, pointing out that he has never knocked out a true boxer and mocking his background as a YouTuber. The animosity between the two appears genuine, adding a layer of intensity to the build-up.
Paul's
that could
journey
translate
in the boxing
into an
world
explosive
has been a
fight.
polarizing spectacle.
Paul, for his part,
blending
is
entertainment,
no stranger to
criticism,
criticism
and has embraced the
calculated
role of the
ambition.
underdog in the
His
boxing
upcoming
world.
fight against
He views
Julio
the
Cesar
fight as a
Chavez
defining
Jr.
moment
on June 28,
not just for
2025,
himself, but for
is
Chavez
yet another
Jr.
chapter
as well.
in a career that
With
thrives on
61
attention
professional
as much as
fights
it does
and a former
on
world
athletic
title to his
pursuit.
name,
This matchup,
Chavez Jr.
steeped in
represents
legacy
the
and
most
rivalry,
legitimate
has
boxing
sparked heated
opponent Paul
discussions
has
across the
faced.
boxing community.
A victory would
with opinions
significantly
split
bolster
between those
Paul's
who see it
credibility,
as another carefully
potentially
curated
silencing
step in
some
some
of
of
his
his
critics,
and those who believe Chavez Jr. could deliver a reality check.
Paul
to
has
the YouTube
expressed
star
confidence
turned
in his
boxer.
preparation.
The narrative
Noting
surrounding
that
this
Chavez
fight is
Jr.'s
complex,
reported
weaving
dedication
together
to
Jake's
training only
strategic
pushes
opponent
him
selection.
to elevate his own
Chavez
performance.
Jr.'s storied but
He acknowledges the
inconsistent career,
stakes,
and the
admitting
broader
that
debate
Chavez
about what
Jr.'s
constitutes
experience
real
in knockout
boxing
power
in an
make him
era
a dangerous
where
opponent,
spectacle often overshadows
particularly
substance.
early in the fight when his
Jake
left
Paul's
hook could be a game
transformation
changer.
from a Disney Channel
The age
actor
and
and
activity
YouTube
level
influencer
of the
to a
two
professional
fighters
boxer
add another
has
layer
been
of
nothing
intrigue.
short of remarkable.
At 39,
if contentious.
Chavez Jr.
His
is
entry into the
significantly
sport
younger than
was
Tyson
met with
was during his bout with Paul,
with many dismissing
and he has
him
remained
as a
closer
publicity
to fight
stunt
shape
capitalizing
than many of
on
Paul's
his massive
previous
online
opponents.
following.
While he is no
Yet,
longer the
over
fighter
the
who
years,
went the distance
Paul
with
has
Canelo
silenced
Alvarez,
some critics by
Chavez
taking on
Jr. has
increasingly
maintained his
challenging
training
opponents
and still possesses
even if his
sharp
choices
instincts
have often
honed
been
over decades
scrutinized
in
for
the
their
ring.
strategic nature.
Paul, meanwhile,
his recent fight
benefits
against
from
Mike
youth and
Tyson,
momentum,
a boxing
having
legend
fought
far
regularly
removed from
since
his prime,
entering the sport
exemplified
exemplified
this approach.
His lack of an
The
amateur
bout,
background
which went
as a
the
point of
distance,
contention,
drew significant
but his professional
backlash,
record of 10
with
wins
detractors
and 1
labeling
loss,
it a
with
cash
7
grab,
knockouts,
and questioning
demonstrates
its
legitimacy
legitimacy
to compete at a
Some
high level.
fans and
Even if
commentators
his opponents
even
have been
suggested
carefully chosen.
the fight was scripted.
The broader
Pointing
context
to
of the
moments
fight
where Tyson
highlights the
appeared to hold
shifting
back
dynamics
punches.
of boxing
However,
in the modern era.
seasoned boxing
Paul's
insiders
rise
have pushed
has blurred
back
the
against
lines
these
between
claims,
entertainment
arguing
and
that the
competition,
hits exchanged
drawing
were
in new
authentic,
fans
and that
while
Tyson's
alienating
participation
purists
lent
who view
credibility
his
to
presence
Paul's
as a
growing
mockery
presence
of the
in the
sport.
ring.
Tyson's
His ability
own
to generate
reflections on the
massive
fight
pay-per-view
added
numbers
weight
to
to
this
this
mainstream
perspective.
attention is
Despite
undeniable,
admitting that his
but it
memory
comes
of
at
the
the
bout
cost
was
of
hazy.
constant scrutiny.
He acknowledged the
For
physical
Chavez
toll
Jr.,
it took on him.
the fight is a
The
chance
day
to
after the
rewrite
fight,
his narrative.
Tyson revealed
proving
to his
that he
wife
can still
that his
compete
chest
at a high
stomach
level
and
despite
back
his
were
personal
sore,
and professional
a testament to the
setbacks.
power behind
The stakes
Paul's
are high
punches.
for both fighters.
Coming from a
win
fighter
for
renowned
Paul
for
could
his
redefine
toughness,
his legacy.
this admission
while a victory
underscored
for
that
Chavez
Paul is
Jr.
not merely
could
a
restore his
showman, but a
reputation
boxer
and
capable
quiet the
of
critics
delivering
who have written
real
him off.
damage.
As the
For
fight
Paul,
approaches,
the fight was a
the
chance to
boxing
showcase
world
his
is
development
divided
as
on
a
its
fighter,
significance,
and his decision to
For
return
some,
to training
it's
just
a
a month
legitimate
later,
test of
as
Paul's
he mentioned in a
skills
post-fight
against a
interview,
seasoned opponent
reflects
with
a
a
dedication
championship
that
pedigree.
even his critics
For
cannot
others,
entirely
it's
dismiss.
another chapter in his
His
quest for
reunion with
attention.
Tyson for this
A carefully
training camp,
curated
preparing
matchup
for the Chavez
designed to
Jr.
keep him
fight
in the spotlight
brings an added layer of
Regardless of the
intensity
outcome,
and
the
experience
fight
to
is
his
a
corner,
microcosm of the
signaling
modern
that Paul is
boxing
approaching
landscape,
this bout with
where
seriousness.
spectacle and skill
Julio
coexist
Cesar Chavez
uneasily.
Jr.,
Whether
Paul's
Jake
next
Paul
opponent,
can prove
is a
himself
figure who
against
carries
Julio
the weight
Cesar
of a
Chavez
legendary
Jr.,
name,
or whether
but also
Chavez
the burden
Jr.
of a
can
career
turn back the
marked
clock
by
and
highs
deliver a
and lows.
career-defining performance
The son of
remains to be
Mexican
seen.
boxing icon
But one thing
Julio
is certain,
Cesar Chavez
the world
Sr.
will be watching.
Chavez Jr. rose to prominence in the early 2000s, compiling an impressive 46-0 record and capturing the WBC middleweight title. His prime was defined by solid pressure fighting, effective body shots, and a resilience that saw him go the distance with elite fighters like Canelo Alvarez in 2017. Against Sergio Martinez, a top pound-for-pound fighter at the time, Chavez Jr. showcased his potential, nearly turning the fight around with a devastating left hook in the 12th round. Though he lost that bout, his ability to hang with such high-caliber opponents cemented his reputation as a formidable talent. However, Chavez Jr.'s career has been marred by inconsistency, largely due to personal struggles with addiction and a lack of discipline. His performance against Canelo, while a testament to his durability, saw him outclassed in nearly every round, with few highlights to speak of. More recently, his 2023 fight against Uriah Hall, a former MMA fighter making his boxing debut, was lackluster. Chavez Jr. won, but the victory was far from convincing, with Hall holding his own despite his inexperience in the boxing ring. Observers noted that Chavez Jr. appeared slower and less dynamic at cruiserweight, a division that requires him to carry more weight than he did in his middleweight prime. At 39 years old, he is no longer the fighter he once was, with his
footwork described as plodding and his hand speed diminished. Yet, his technical experience and ring savvy give him a chance,
estimated by some analysts at 25 to 30%, to pose a challenge to Paul, particularly if he arrives in top condition. For Chavez Jr., this fight is deeply personal. He has publicly expressed that Paul's decision to fight Tyson, a figure he reveres as a boxing legend, crossed a line. In interviews, Chavez Jr. has framed this bout as an opportunity to restore dignity to the sport and to Tyson, whom he believes was disrespected by Paul's challenge. His mission is not just to win, but to send a message that boxing is a sacred space for those who have dedicated their lives to it, not a platform for entertainers seeking headlines. This personal stake adds an emotional dimension to the fight, making it more than just a paycheck for Chavez Jr. His father, Chavez Sr., has also weighed in, expressing confidence that if his son shows up in the shape he's been in over the past 6 to 7 months, he could knock out Paul. This bold prediction has fueled anticipation for a dramatic showdown. The boxing world is divided on what this fight represents. For Jake Paul, it's another calculated move in a career defined by strategic matchmaking. His opponents, whether aging legends like Tyson, MMA fighters like Nate Diaz, or now Chavez Jr., are chosen not just for their name recognition but for the delicate balance of risk and reward they offer. A victory over Chavez Jr., a former world champion with a storied lineage, would be a significant feather in Paul's cap, potentially shifting the narrative around his legitimacy as a boxer. If he can knock out Chavez Jr., as some speculate he might, it would spark conversations about his potential to challenge for a world title, with names like cruiserweight champion Gilberto "Zurdo" Ramirez already being floated as future opponents. Paul himself has leaned into this ambition, stating that his goal is to become a world champion and create one of the greatest sports stories ever told, a journey from Disney Channel to YouTube to boxing's elite in just 6 or 7 years. Yet, critics argue that Paul's path is more about spectacle than substance. Veteran promoter Bob Arum, for instance, has been vocal in his skepticism, dismissing the Chavez Jr. fight as not boxing and questioning whether Paul is truly willing to face current, prime contenders. Arum's perspective reflects a broader sentiment among purists who see Paul's career as an affront to the sport's traditions. They point to his loss to Tommy Fury, a younger, more active boxer, as evidence that Paul struggles against opponents who match his age and experience. The choice of Chavez Jr., who at 39 is well past his peak, only fuels this criticism. Fans on platforms like X have echoed this frustration, with some calling the matchup annoying and accusing Paul of avoiding real boxers in favor of faded names or crossover athletes. Despite the backlash, Paul's team defends his approach as both strategic and necessary. Unlike traditional boxers, Paul did not come up through the amateur ranks, learning the sport in the public eye instead. His fights are designed to maximize attention while gradually increasing the level of competition, allowing him to build skills without being thrown to the wolves too soon. Chavez Jr., with his 60 professional fights and championship pedigree, represents a step up from Paul's previous opponents, even if he's not at his peak. The cruiserweight division, where this fight will take place, also plays to Paul's physical advantages. His youth, size, and speed give him an edge over Chavez Jr., who is naturally smaller and moving up in weight. Logan Paul, Jake's brother, has acknowledged the challenge, noting that Chavez Jr.'s technical ability and ring history make this Jake's toughest fight to date. He emphasizes that this is not just another publicity stunt but a test of Jake's stamina, skill, and mental toughness. The promotional aspect of this fight cannot be overstated. Paul's ability to command millions of followers and generate viral moments makes him a unique figure in boxing, capable of turning any bout into a global event. Chavez Jr., with his famous surname and Mexican boxing heritage, brings a different kind of draw, appealing to traditional fans and those who hope to see Paul humbled. The clash of their worlds, social media stardom versus boxing royalty, creates a narrative that transcends the sport itself. Promoters recognize this, and the fight's location in Southern California, with its large Mexican population, adds another layer of intrigue. Paul, ever the provocateur, has leaned into this dynamic, claiming that his Mexican fans love him more than they do Chavez Jr., whom he says Mexico doesn't even claim. This bold rhetoric is classic Paul, designed to stir emotions and sell tickets. The stakes for both fighters are high, but in different ways. For Paul, a convincing win could mark a turning point, forcing skeptics to reconsider his place in the sport. A knockout, in particular, would amplify his claim to being a legitimate contender, especially given Chavez Jr.'s durability against the likes of Canelo. However, a loss, or even an unconvincing performance, could reinforce the narrative that Paul is more showman than boxer, validating the critics who see his career as a series of carefully orchestrated spectacles. For Chavez Jr.,
The fight is a chance to reclaim relevance and honor his family's legacy. A victory would not only silence Paul but also serve as a statement that the old guard still has a place in boxing's evolving landscape. Even in defeat, Chavez Jr.'s effort could earn him respect if he shows flashes of his former brilliance. The broader context of this fight reflects the changing nature of boxing itself. In an era where influencer-driven events and crossover bouts generate massive revenue, the line between sport and entertainment is increasingly blurred. Paul's rise has capitalized on this shift, drawing in new audiences while alienating purists. His fight with Tyson, streamed on platforms like Netflix, set a precedent for how these spectacles can dominate the cultural conversation, even if they don't satisfy traditionalists. The Chavez Jr. fight, while more grounded in boxing's history, still carries the hallmarks of a Paul production: high stakes, big names, and endless debate. As the June 28th date approaches, the boxing world is bracing for an event that will likely be as divisive as it is compelling. Will Jake Paul continue his ascent, proving that his power and preparation can overcome a seasoned veteran? Or will Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., fueled by pride and legacy, deliver the upset that so many fans are hoping for? The answers lie in the ring, where hype meets reality, and where both fighters will have the chance to shape their legacies in front of a global audience. Regardless of the outcome, one thing is certain: people will be watching, drawn in by the collision of two worlds and the promise of a fight that could change the conversation around Jake Paul's polarizing career.